we start once again in the Middle East, where Israel has been intensifying its offensive against Hezbollah in Lebanon. The IDF is striking targets in the south of the country and in Beirut's densely populated suburbs. The Lebanese Ministry of Health says more than 120 people have been killed this week. Many are fleeing their homes, trying to escape the bombings, often with nowhere to go.
Tens of thousands of Lebanese are on the move. The Israeli army has issued large-scale evacuation orders for southern Lebanon and Beirut's southern suburbs, a stronghold for Iran's proxy force Hezbollah. The order has caused panic and chaos on the streets of the capital. Temporary shelters are being set up, but many are ending up on the beach or on the streets. Their only instruction from Israel: move north or east of the city, but not south.
We're sleeping here in the streets. Some are sleeping in their cars, some are sleeping on the street, some on the beach. We are homeless.
I have 10 children. I don't know where my children are. They're displaced. I have 4 sons and 6 daughters. Only this girl is with me and my husband. I don't know about the others.
Israel's defense forces launched a fresh wave of attacks on Beirut Thursday and Friday. The IDF says it targeted Hezbollah headquarters and 10 high-rise buildings housing military infrastructure. Israel is also launching attacks on southern Lebanon and issued mass displacement orders telling everyone living south of the Litani River to move north. The UN says these large-scale evacuation orders raise serious concerns under international law.
What's happening inside Lebanon, as I said, extremely worried about it, in particular the displacement orders that are almost blanket displacement orders. They have actually asked for civilians to move beyond the Litani River, which is, let's not forget, about 100 towns and villages that are affected as a result.
At a gathering of international diplomats in Beirut, Lebanon's prime minister told delegates the country is being dragged into a conflict it did not seek and it did not choose.
This situation is grave, and our responsibility is high. The consequences of this displacement at the humanitarian and political level may well be unprecedented. A humanitarian disaster is looming.
He's appealing to the international community for help to get through this crisis and for help to stop Israel's attacks on the people and infrastructure of Lebanon.
I want to take you straight to the Lebanese capital now and bring in our Beirut bureau chief, Mohamad. Mohamad, I understand you had to evacuate your own family. If you don't mind me asking, how are you experiencing this moment?
Well, this is just one example of the situation many here in Lebanon have been experiencing, especially over the past 48 hours, which have been seeing dramatic developments in Beirut. Hundreds of families across Lebanon have been receiving calls from foreign numbers. The callers claim to be affiliated with the Israeli military and ordered residents to just evacuate, leave their homes immediately, as it was, they say it was marked as targets. I, myself, and my colleague here at DW also received such calls and had to evacuate our homes for some time. Now, a security source here in Lebanon told us that the authorities suspect these calls may be spam and potentially a form of psychological warfare. But these incidents caused widespread frustration and panic here in Beirut. Hundreds of families took the streets across Beirut out of fear of imminent attacks.
Understandably so. Sweeping Israeli evacuation orders have sent tens of thousands on the run in the past days. How does this moment compare to previous Israeli operations in Lebanon?
Yeah, I think the pattern of this confrontation that we're seeing feels quite déjà vu. Much of what we are witnessing now, we already saw. It resembles to what we saw during the last major confrontation in 2024. Displacement, massive destruction, anxiety, sleepless night for hundreds of thousands of Lebanese. What is Different, however, this time is the political context here in Lebanon. When Hezbollah launched the attacks on Israel on October 2024, the government was aligned with Hezbollah at the time. The militant group largely controlled the political sphere back then. Hezbollah has since then lost much of that influence following its defeat during the confrontation with Israel. Today, the new government is not on Hezbollah's side, although Hezbollah is represented by two Shia ministers in this government, but the majority, the governing coalition, opposes the group and is in fact pushing for the disarmament of the militant organization.
In terms of popular sentiment, Mohamad, who is being blamed for this hardship, for this panic, for this déjà vu that the Lebanese people are experiencing? Is it Hezbollah and Iran, or is it Israel?
Well, I think we're seeing an unprecedented fury at Hezbollah here in Lebanon from, I would safely say, the vast majority of the Lebanese who blame Hezbollah for dragging the country into a conflict against their will. Many see this conflict as a war that is not theirs, simply. People say the country has yet to recover from the 2024 war, and the Lebanese are deeply, deeply worried that this second round of confrontation is risking to be even more damaging. Meanwhile, Hezbollah still insists that the armed confrontation is the only way to stop these Israeli daily attacks on Lebanon, which have not stopped, which continued even after the ceasefire agreement of 2024 went into effect.
The Lebanese Prime Minister has warned of an unprecedented humanitarian crisis unfolding as a result of this. How is the situation being addressed?
Well, I think Lebanon's Prime Minister Nawaf Salam said that his government has been preparing for emergencies, but the reality is that the state has very limited resources. Lebanon has yet to recover from the aftermath of the 2024 devastating confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah, and the country is still reeling from a very deep and harsh economic crisis. Just a short while ago, the Minister of Social Affairs said that as many as 500,000 people have been internally displaced. So providing aid for them requires huge resources and funds that the government simply does not have. Now, the government have been opening additional shelters, and aid organizations have been already jumping in for mobilizing aid for these people, but the needs are massive, and the situation very much depends now on the development on the ground and how long will this confrontation between Hezbollah and Israel last.
Israel has already been indicating that this might turn into a prolonged operation. What does that mean for the people of Lebanon?
I think there's a general feeling of desperation here in Beirut. People are feeling helpless, and particularly those who are displaced and were displaced from the southern suburbs of Beirut following the unprecedented evacuation orders from the Israeli military for entire neighborhoods in Dahiyeh. People fear that the massive Israeli bombardment of Dahiyeh will destroy much of their homes, and they will be left with no place to go back to. Even also the people from the south, we've been speaking to many of them who made it to Beirut fleeing the border towns. They say that they are very concerned that this time they might not even go back to their towns on the border with Israel, especially following the Israeli statements on creating a buffer zone, a no man's land on the Lebanese side of the border. And, everyone is just watching this confrontation between Hezbollah and Israel continues to widen and intensify.
Mohamad, Chreyteh in Beirut, we really appreciate your reporting, and please stay safe.